I have a question for you guys, and you could sit there and say, I'd rather not answer, right? Or you can opt out, whoever wants to say it. But is there any role that local governments or state government play in this? Any type of resource or provisions for your organization?
There really hasn't been in on many levels of government an appropriate, what we would call an appropriate response to the homeless or unhoused situation, and it's a function of many things. And right now, the cost of housing in this area, not only is it causing people to be unhoused, it's creating a challenge for people to be housed, if that makes sense. So it's really kind of double amount of pressure. It's really been more organizations like Father Bill's, which has been purposeful in developing properties, like old hotels and that sort of thing, making them into housing units to help that specific community, to get them off the streets, to get them a place to live, a safe place to live. It really hasn't. I haven't seen the initiatives from government to do that sort of thing.
Tammy, do you want to weigh in on this, or?
I guess just to, Greg's response was perfect. I feel like it's sad because it is a town problem, and it's in every town, and more so in larger towns, especially north of us. And I just feel like if we can hide them, the government would be happy with that. And that's just not the case. That's not reality. They're here. They are our neighbors. They are our brothers and sisters. And, we need to serve them, and we need to help them however we can, not hide them. And I feel like a lot of times that's the response.
Well, just to let everybody know, where Tammy and Greg's ministry is located in the downstairs area of the New Hope Chapel. It is within maybe 100 feet, 100 yards or less of, where a lot of the homeless population hang out. There's a little park. There's a little park bench. It's, a golf shot from the ocean. So a lot of people hang out there, walk up and down the street. So, that's why it's so important that they can stay in that close vicinity to where the homeless population are, because they're all throughout the town. You see them a lot, specifically now that I've been there and I've recognized some of the faces. So that's why we're doing this. That's why it's so important, and so important to continue what they're doing with this ministry. Are you guys up? I know this is going to be a pop quiz here almost, but are you guys up for any subscriber questions?
Absolutely. Sure.
All right. So you guys could decide, your husband and wife, I'm sure you could decide who goes first, right? So here's one question. How has your experience running this ministry changed your perspective on the homelessness?
Oh, Tammy, you should take that one, because you always put this so well.
It has been just an incredibly humbling experience, and it makes me so grateful for everything I have. And there are times when I leave there on Fridays and I come home to my house and just realize just how blessed I am, and it's all from God. And I realize that everything I have is His, but it's enabling me and Greg to do what we're doing. And it's an incredible epiphany when you realize that everything is from God. We can work hard, we can make money, but you know what? It's all Him. And what we do with it is what matters. And when we use those blessings to glorify His kingdom, like Greg and I are doing, and like we've been called to do, wow, just the peace and the joy that gives you. It's incredible. And, the other thing too is how he opens our eyes and makes us see that these are our brothers and sisters. These are our neighbors. They're just like you and I. They've had an unfortunate, life circumstance in many of their cases that is, brought them to the streets or brought them to their addiction. But that doesn't mean that they still don't need our love, and they don't need our acknowledgement that they're a human being just like we are. And like I said, this has been just an incredibly humbling experience.
Absolutely. And I think I know who may want to take this question, because I asked a very similar question when I was at the facility last week. Subscriber question number 2. Can you share a success story of someone your ministry has helped transition out of homelessness?
Oh, sure. We had a gentleman, his name is Paul, and he was coming to the ministry from the very beginning. At first, he wouldn't speak to us. Even if you went up and talked to him, he wouldn't respond at all. He wouldn't talk back. Yeah. And it took probably over a year to kind of wear him down till we could talk with him. And then we found out his story. He had been an electrical foreman in the building of skyscrapers in Boston, and just like an amazing career. And it had all become dismantled through addiction. And he'd been living outside for 10 years, and that's year round. He wouldn't go in the shelter system because he just didn't mix in well with the other people and so forth. But he had found sobriety on his own, but he had been living outside. So as we got to know him more and more, we ended up being able to kind of connect him with a New Hope member that owns an electrical contracting company, a fairly large one. And she took such an interest in Paul and basically brought him along so that he got his, through her help and her partner's help, he got his driver's license back. He got his electrical contractor's license back, or electrician's license back, and has been working for them ever since. And they have explained that he's one of the smartest, most capable workers that they have, because of the depth of experience that he had before. And so he's housed, and he's off the streets, and he's productive, and we see him, and he's happy, and he contributes back to our ministry now as well. So wow. Those stories are just amazing, just so uplifting for us as well.
That's awesome. Yes, and like I said, that was a similar question to what I asked you last week.
Yeah.
Another question from our subscriber base. We talked a lot about the ministry and what we're doing, and how your plans, what you're currently up against. But this question says, what are the most pressing needs of your ministry right now in terms of resources or funding, if you had to put it in 1, 2, 3 order?
Tammy, you want to take that?
Sure.
I know what you're going to say.
Well, the price of eggs is coming down. we go through a lot of eggs every Friday, and when a case of eggs hit $36, I was like, uh-oh. So the cost of food, again, we are seeing some prices come down. Thank goodness for that. But again, it is funding to allow us to continue to feed the number of people that we are, which is a good, 45 to 50 people a week that are coming in through our doors. Again, I'm using wholesome, good ingredients when we're making a meal, and I will continue to provide that at all costs. However, that has definitely been a challenge this last year, as we all, personally have experienced rising prices. From there, I would just say, we just spent quite a bit of money on new camping equipment that we'll be handing out in 2 weeks. That's an ongoing process. So what very often happens is they'll go out, set up a campsite, it gets trashed, something happens, and we have to provide another camping bundle. So funds to help us continue to have camping equipment on hand is much appreciated.
Yeah.
Greg,
Awesome.
did you wanna
Yeah,
add?
I would, those are the two biggest things right now. You know, we would love to be able to come up with a solution for even temporary shelter housing, especially for the ladies that we were talking about there.
Yes.
It's such a challenge. I'm sure that money would help that, but we don't really know what that looks like either. That's just
Right.
kind of an open-ended thing. If someone has ideas, has suggestions, we would just love to participate in something that could find a place for the people that are outside, because it breaks our heart to hand them those camping bundles, whether it be the ladies or in the men as well.
The men too. And, if I could just, add in, if anyone finds it on their heart, if they have a room in their home, a finished basement, maybe a rental property that, is dormant right now, we would be grateful if you would contact us and consider housing some of these people, especially this group of women, because once again, I'm just really having a hard time of thinking of them being out in the woods.
Right, in the next couple of weeks. So again, at newhope.com, look for the Give tab. Go on there, select the homeless ministry. I'm going to constantly be putting links up here